Welcome to the Less Glove, More Fist podcast.
With me, Coach Bronson.
And me, Coach Nat.
Where we peel back the curtains and reveal the truth behind hot topics in health and fitness.
This is Keto Fit Life.
Unfiltered. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Less Glove, More Fist podcast. This is Coach Bronson.
And Coach Nat.
And I just made her giggle before we started because I'm being a dork.
He made me roll my eyes, as he does many times a day.
She says I'm kind of a doofus sometimes. Is that the word?
I know. He's goofy.
Goofy? Okay.
No, that's not even the word. Goober. He's a goober.
I'm a goober?
Yeah.
That's what you all know me as, right? I'm the goober.
See, y'all don't get to see what I get to see. I get to see the goofy side of him.
Yep. So just to give you an example, we're going to completely start without talking about anything health and fitness related.
As we usually do.
This talk is going to be very different than the ones we've had so far. It's going to be very important, somewhat different, very impactful. We hope that you guys listen to this. But before we get started, I just want to ask you all a question. Why is blood pronounced blood and not blued? I'm curious. If you can let me know that, I would really appreciate it.
This was the question he posed to me at 1 a.m.
I need an explanation. It's 2 O's. Why is it pronounced with a U instead of 2 O's? I don't understand. All right.
Oh, my goodness.
Anywho, what we're talking about today, guys, we're going to talk about what is a fixed versus a growth mindset and how it affects your journey, your progress, your lifestyle.
How does this apply to your fitness journey?
You may have heard of fixed mindset, growth mindset in the past. We're hopefully going to break it down and talk about it in some ways that kind of help apply the concepts, help you apply the concepts to your life, your mentality, how you think about things. But before we get into the details of that, we really want to impress that this I almost said this video, this podcast, I'm so used to doing videos.
YouTubers.
This podcast is not about health and fitness, but it has everything to do with your ability to succeed on your health and fitness journey. Because you guys have heard us say before, mindset is everything. Your mind controls your trajectory and how far and how fast you get there. So do you have anything to add on? I just want people to get to really, on the surface, this may sound like a topic that no one's going to want to listen to. It's mind work, it's inner work, it's all it's more intellectual and esoteric, but it's really, really, really freaking important that you listen to this episode.
This is the key to everything.
Yeah.
I often say it is not as we hear that diet is 80% of it and fitness is 20%, and to get the body you want, it's 80% your food and 20% your workouts. That is not the case. I often say it is 100% your mindset, because you're not going to stick to a diet and you're not going to eat the foods you need to eat and avoid the foods you need to eat, and you're not going to get your workouts and your training done if your mindset is not in the right place. That is what underlies everything you do, and you can't possibly make progress if your mindset is not in the right place.
Absolutely.
So we've got to address the source of the issue here, and that will propel you forward toward where you're trying to go.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why both Coach Nat and I spent some time this year and got certified as behavior change specialists, because as we've gone through our coaching journey, and the more time we spend helping people have success and figure out what they need to do in their lives, the more we realize that 80%, 90% of what we do has nothing to do with a meal plan, an exercise plan, macros, how to do exercises, any of that kind of stuff. Most of what we do every time we get on a call with a client is what's going on in your head. What are you doing to self-sabotage? What are the limiting beliefs you have? What are the ways that you can break old habits and build new habits? All of the things that have to do with the mind.
And the cool thing about it is a lot of the time I don't even have to explain any of that to my clients. It comes in the way of, what does your life look like? What's going on in your life, right? At the beginning of a client relationship, I typically hear, either they're shying away from even sharing anything that doesn't have to do with their workouts and their food, or there's something going on. They may not be saying it, but they're just like, I was under a lot of stress this week, or there was a lot going on, or they may start sharing about something that happened in their life, and then they're like, I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, you don't have to apologize to me. It's all relevant.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the time they'll start going into a story and say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be telling you about that. Let's focus on, and I'm like, no, that's important, because if it happened in your life and it's impacting your ability to do the things we talked about doing in your plan, then it is 100% applicable to what you hired me for.
Absolutely.
It's not that you have to, I always say we don't live in a vacuum. And it's not like, oh, when, and this is the big key here, and this is kind of an intro into our topic, but when you can't make progress because everything's not perfect in your life right now.
Mm-hmm.
All the circumstances are not lining up perfectly for you to be able to do all the things perfectly. Every time your schedule is interrupted, somebody upsets you, you have an argument with your spouse, your kid gets sick, something happens at work, now you're working extra hours. Anytime something changes in your life, now all of a sudden everything goes to shit and you can't follow the plan. This is what you get a coach for, people.
Yes.
This is what a coach is for. It is not to rah, good going, keep doing great things. Like, we are your biggest cheerleaders, and we will point out all of the things that you're doing well that you don't see you're doing well, but that is not the purpose of a coach.
That's actually an interesting part, because we didn't put that in our notes.
No, we didn't.
Is that when we talk about fixed mindset versus growth mindset, there's also an aspect of looking at progress and being able to recognize success versus looking at all your failures. We got to add that.
That's huge.
We got to add that to the conversation.
Add that.
Okay, so that's the importance. That's why we're having this discussion today. And we really just want to make sure you guys understand that this is super important. Super, 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 super important. Okay?
Absolutely.
So when we talk about what is a fixed versus a growth mindset, why is it important is the first question. So we'll talk about what they are, but first off, understanding that your mindset, much like when we talk about starting your journey, we say, what is your why? Why are you doing this? What is the reason? I like to talk about having an emotional connection to that reason, so that your emotional connection to why you're doing it can outweigh the emotional connection to the things that used to hold you back, things you used to do, old habits, things like that. If you don't have a good, strong why, then your actions are not going to be in line with where you're trying to go. And mindset is very much the same way. Your mindset and your perception on your ability to progress in life is going to determine, or you could say color, your attitude, your thoughts, and your actions. So when we talk about mindset in the fixed versus growth perspective point of view, what we're talking about is, do you consider yourself to be a person who has a future or someone who doesn't have a future?
Ooh, I like how
that's
broke
kind
that
of the
down.
base. Because if you feel like you don't have anywhere to go, then all of your actions are going to be limited and fixed.
That is a really simple way to express that. Yeah. And I love that you use the term perspective or point of view, because essentially that's what a mindset is. A mindset is how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see everything. It's your perspective, it's your point of view. And exactly as Bronson just explained, it colors how you receive and how you perceive everything in your environment. So should we provide the definition of each, like the textbook definition?
Yeah, let's do that. You want to go fixed mindset, or you read that and I'll do the next one?
Sure. Let's start with fixed. Okay. So as you can imagine, fixed sounds like something that's in one place.
It's in a box.
Right?
It can't go anywhere.
So people who believe their intelligence, talents, and personalities are fixed traits that cannot grow or change.
That cannot grow or change. So this is a person who is, well, you want to go, let's talk about fixed mindset and give a good example of what fixed is. So
Love it.
Somebody who is of the belief, their core belief something that is at the core of how they think, is I am where I am and I can't get any better.
Where I am who I am.
I am who I am. This is a big one
this
you're on
is
right now. Is
just
that's who I am.
Who I am.
This is just who I am. This is just what I do.
I have now stopped 3 or 4 clients
Just in a couple weeks.
in the midst of their sentence.
Yeah.
In saying, ask yourself, have you ever said, I am an all or nothing person?
Right. Or I'm not a gym person.
I'm a black and white thinker.
Yep.
I'm a black and white person. It's all or nothing. I'm either on my diet or I'm off my diet. That's a big one I've been getting on lately.
Yeah. And that's fixed thinking because it's extremes, it's a finite.
This is the way I am, and it's not worth trying because this is just who I'm going to be, and I'm always going to be stuck here.
Right. So there's an assumption that change is not possible. And some of the ways that this expresses itself. Yeah.
Here's another good example.
Shoot.
I'm not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person. Yeah.
I have personally said that myself.
I'm not a morning person, or I'm a night person. So it doesn't always have to be a negative, right?
Yes.
I get angry. I'm impatient.
I'm an emotional eater.
It's a positive or negative. When you're making a declaration of a state of being, that your mindset around that state of being is that it won't change.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about, fixed mindset. So you're basically setting yourself up and just saying that you are how you are and that it's not going to change. So some of the ways that this kind of expresses itself in your life, when we talk about examples of people that are expressing or showing symptoms or signs of being of a fixed mindset, we look at, we see it all the time, clients fighting for their limitations, arguing for things that they're basically saying, well, I have to do it this way because that's just the way I do it. Well,
yes.
Does it have to be? Avoiding discomfort.
Yep.
Right?
Pushing back when your coach gives you a workout program or asks you to try something and you're trying to change a habit or something that's been going on for a long time.
Right.
And you say,
resistance.
And every statement out of your mouth is, well, I can't do this because this, and I can't do that because this. Yeah. And there's always a reason why you can't.
Yep.
And that's the first place when we're talking about mindset, this is the first place your mind goes to, is all the ways and all the reasons why you can't.
Because here's what we're talking about. You love talking about energy, is if your core belief is that you can't do something, then you will always gravitate towards the reasons why you can't do something.
Yes.
And this shows itself a lot when I work with clients and I'm talking to them and I said, okay, this happened the other day. How do you feel your workouts are going? Are you feeling like you're working hard in your workouts and getting something positive from the exercise? And instead of answering the question, yes, I can work harder, or no, I feel like I'm working as hard as I can, the first response is, well, my knee this, my shoulder that, I haven't been able to. It's like, that's not the answer. That's not the question I asked. So the mindset around, you're deflecting, you're resisting the answer, and you're trying to find a reason why you can't.
Avoiding. So what you just said, avoiding discomfort.
Avoiding discomfort.
Right? That can be emotional discomfort as well as physical discomfort.
Absolutely.
So if it causes any kind of emotional reaction, avoid it.
Yes. Well, and okay, so there's so many segues here. The avoidance of emotional reaction often leads to
eating,
improper coping mechenisms.
Yep.
Because now we're not facing the issue, and you talk about this before, right?
Oh my gosh.
Where binging and going off plan can be a result of you don't think you can deal with it because you can't change and you can't grow and there's no sense in facing it. So why not run away from it?
Yep. Or you don't even know it's there because you've been distracting yourself with food and busyness.
Oh my God.
One. Yeah. What? He just had a light bulb
Fixed
go on.
mindset people avoid self-awareness.
Ooh. Ooh. Chills. I got chills.
That's huge, though, to think about
true.
that. To think about that. We talk, if you've heard any of our podcasts or listened to the stuff we talk about, awareness is one of the huge pieces in behavior change and habit change, in doing the things and being able to identify the things that need to change. So many of us are not even aware of the things that need to change. If you have a fixed mindset, then not only are you not aware, but you resist the effort to become aware.
Here's a telltale sign that you're doing this. If you find yourself saying, I don't know a lot.
And just leaving it at that.
If a coach or a friend or someone asks, well, why? Why did you eat that thing? I don't know.
I just did. It just happened.
It just happened.
I blacked out.
Yes.
I get
Seriously,
that one all the time.
I've heard that all the time. All the time. Yep. I woke up surrounded by wrappers.
Yes.
Candy
exactly.
wrappers.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Wow. I love these connections. Okay. So what else we got? We talked about limiting beliefs.
Yes. These are the beliefs. I mean, a simple definition, if you haven't heard the term limiting belief, they are beliefs that limit you. So they are things that, and what are beliefs? They're just thoughts we've thought.
Yeah, they're thoughts.
It's thoughts you think repeatedly over time enough that they become deep-seated beliefs within you.
So they basically lead to default actions because you just, again, it goes to mindset. You just don't think.
Yep.
This is how it is. This is how it's going to be.
And many times you're not present, as we just talked about, not aware, not present to what these beliefs are until you work with a professional who can help bring these out.
Right. And some of these limiting beliefs come from a lot of different places. Some of them can come from your childhood, from your upbringing, and everything from,
traumatic events and experiences in your life.
Yeah. As an adult, just things that you experience in the workplace or with friends or just anything, like things that you've seen repeated and it's really about your response. When you have the same response or you see similar patterns of emotion or action or whatever, you start believing these are the way things are. And everyone has different experiences and everyone has different ones. For me, I'm trying to think of what's a limiting belief that I've had in the past. Limiting belief for me in the past. I'm not a salesperson. I don't like sales. I can be a salesperson, but I don't like sales. It's not something for me. I'll never be good at it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And that's the fixed mindset viewpoint. The limiting belief there is I don't know how to sell, and it's too complicated for me to learn.
Which is another sign of a fixed mindset, is this belief that you cannot learn and overcome.
Correct.
That's the biggest difference between the growth and the fixed mindset.
Right.
It's not just this is how I am, that I have this belief that this is how I am, but it's that I couldn't learn to be a different way.
Right.
What really, I'm going to open up here a little bit and be a little vulnerable. This is what prompted us to do this topic this morning.
She came running in to the room. I've got a topic.
Oh my gosh. I found myself, and I pride myself on the growth mindset. Like, it's how I've lived my entire life. And as we get into the growth mindset, you may resonate with that. Like, I have never been a person who believed that there was anything I wasn't capable of doing if I just try hard enough, learn what I need to learn to get it done. I thrive on that, and I love to conquer new things. It's so much so that it's rare that I stay on the same thing for very long. It's like, okay, well, what's the next mountain I can scale?
Right.
What's the next thing? So I couldn't believe that these words were coming out of my mouth as I said them. But it was in regards to punctuality. It's always been something I've struggled with. I come from a long line of women on the women's side of my family who are on a different time, right? Like, it's like if you're, oh my gosh, all my ethnic folks out there, like my mom's side of the family is Greek. And my mom has used the term Greek people time. And look, I'm also a member of a Black sorority, okay? So I also have a lot of Black friends, and we all know that there's a term called color people time. So those of us who can relate to that, man.
And I'm going to interject and say you're also from Georgia.
Oh.
So there's a whole Southern thing that goes to that
okay,
too,
let's
right?
be careful with that because I'm not from Georgia.
Well, okay. You've spent the last X number of years in Georgia.
For those that don't know, I am from Boston, Massachusetts.
She claims Boston.
I was born in Boston, Massachusetts. I have Boston blood running through my veins. I'm still a Patriots fan.
What?
Which Bronson also is.
Go Pats.
He lived there for many years, but he ain't
Let's
from
fucking
there.
go.
But I was Georgia bred. So
Yes.
I am a Georgia girl in that respect. So in that respect, yes, things can be a little slower in the South. Those of us that know. So many, many factors played into this. This is what I will call a fatal flaw of mine. It's a character flaw that I have never liked about myself. It is the one thing that if I could just snap my fingers and change it magically, I would. This topic came up the other night because I made Bronson late for an appointment. And we had a bit of a spat over it. And it really poked at something that I don't like about myself. And the fact is, if something rubs you the wrong way, if you're getting triggered, there's probably a reason and there's something to look at.
Absolutely.
And I had a lot of resistance to it at first. And then when it was brought to the surface, because for those of you going on the retreat with us, you're going to, oh man, it's going to be a real treat.
Communication between partners is not always fun, but it's always rewarding.
Oh my gosh. This relationship has been amazing in ways that both of us have not experienced in past relationships, because we can talk about these things. We can share and we can express what we need to express about how we're feeling, and also what's going on with the other person. And the coolest thing is being open because you feel safe with that person. And so you know that nothing is being done with malicious intent. So it allows you to receive this kind of feedback in a way that still doesn't feel good, let's be real, but actually allows you to open up and grow from it if you do not let the resistance stop you from that. Right. So I spent a good amount of time meditating this morning and reflecting and journaling on it. And that's where this topic came up. Because I heard myself say the words, I would love to be a punctual person, but it's just not who I am. And it's like, as I said the words, I wanted to take them back. Like, it hurt me. But also, it was what I'm so glad that I said it.
Out of body experience. Like, wait, who is this person?
Who just said that? Because I would never say that I'm not capable of doing something or changing something or becoming a better version of myself. And that to me was the big wake up call. So this is why we said that this topic and this podcast episode may be hard to hear. And we wanted to do that little preface at the beginning, because this is the key to everything. Everything. If you continue to have a fixed mindset and close yourself off to opportunities to grow, then you're digging your own grave. As Tony Robbins says, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I truly believe if we are not getting better, I believe that we are here on this earth to become the best versions of ourselves. That's what our purpose is on this earth. Right. And so if we're not doing that, we're just waiting to die.
Yeah, absolutely. And we still have like 3 or 4 things.
Let's go.
To kind of go into ways that you can identify if you are living in a fixed mindset. And that's what this is for, guys. We're explaining this so that what we want you to do is to take the information we're saying and apply it to yourself. Okay, now, here's the dichotomy, word of the day. Dichotomy of this whole conversation is, if you have a fixed mindset, it's going to be difficult for you to take this information and apply it to yourself. So be aware of that. Yep. And understand that you are going to have resistance to doing this for yourself.
That's how you know.
That's how you know it's something you need to do, because you're resisting it.
Oh my gosh. And here's a really, that example I just shared. This is not black and white, as we said, like the people who say I'm an all or nothing person. This is not necessarily. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you have a fixed mindset about everything in life. Right. But sometimes, like, what was revealed to me in the last 24 hours is 99% of the time I have a growth mindset as it relates to most things. Bingo. But wow, that was a wake-up call. Here was one area of my life that I had a fixed mindset about. Yeah. So even if you've been listening to this thing, that's not me, I have a growth mindset, I might as well skip this podcast episode. There might be something in your life that you're avoiding dealing with
Absolutely.
because you don't believe you can change in that area.
Right.
So
Yeah, 100%. And just another example is I know plenty of people, right? They're great at school.
Mm-hmm.
They will learn and they will study and they will do whatever they need to do. They'll go get certifications and training and learn new programs, and they're great at work and all the kind of things. But when it comes to their relationships, they have limiting beliefs about what a man and a woman's role is, or what they're looking for in a man or looking for in a woman, or how to
Oh my gosh, go on
communicate,
TikTok and you'll see
whatever.
it.
Like, so it definitely is not this is not a whole or nothing. They are aspects of our lives: emotional, physical, work, relationship, nutrition,
Oh my gosh, Coach Bronson, how many
religious,
clients
like
do you
all
have?
the things.
How many clients do you have who say, well, why can I be so great at work?
Yep.
And then I'm failing on my diet.
Absolutely.
Or I'm failing on my workouts.
100%.
Or I'm not doing the workouts. I'm not doing the training. I'm not doing what I need to do for my health and fitness. But I do it for work all the time. I do it for my kids all the time.
Yep.
So
there's something there.
There's something there.
There's something there. All right, so a couple more things we want to give you examples of what it's like, or things you probably do to kind of indicate, hey, maybe I'm dealing with a fixed mindset. We talked about limiting beliefs, jealousy, and comparison.
This is a huge one.
Comparison is a thief of joy. You guys have heard that before. But if you have, if you get upset because someone else has something you don't have, there's a difference between using someone else's lifestyle or whatever, the way they look, the way they move, the way they talk, the things they have, the success that they've had, and using that as a motivator and using that and saying, I would like to be like that sometime, and being upset that someone has that and you don't.
Oh, that's huge.
There's a very, very big
difference. If you find
difference.
yourself having a hard time clapping for others,
yes,
celebrating others' success, and or if you've ever heard yourself say, must be nice.
Yep.
Or,
what did he do to get that?
She has this going for her and that going for her. She's probably 20 years old. You know, she probably doesn't have any kids. She probably XYZ reasons why it was easier for this person.
Sure.
But not me, because that couldn't be me. Because
it's just harder for me.
It's harder for me. I have this, that, and the other going on.
There it is. There it is. There it is. And that's why we don't compare. That's why you only compare yourself to where you're coming from.
Yep.
Are you better than you were the day before? That kind of thing. So that's one. Jealousy. If you have a hard time being genuinely happy for someone else's success. Here's another one. Looking for quick results. Being focused on the process and not the end goal.
Ooh, I may know a few people. Well, wait a minute. You said being focused on the process and not the end goal.
As in focusing on all of the things you have to do and being overwhelmed or being feeling like it's a struggle to get through these things.
Letting the how get in the way.
Yeah, letting the how get in the way of the why.
Yep. Because I see it. This actually happens in one of two ways. It's either that, or it's the only thing you want is that end goal, and you don't care about learning anything in the process.
That's a whole nother way. Yeah, that's a whole nother
way. It's just, I just
shortcuts.
want, how can I get the abs?
Shortcuts.
Tell me how to get the abs. I don't care. I don't want to learn about macros. I don't want to learn about food choices. Just tell me what to eat.
Just tell me what to do. That's a huge one because we get that all the time.
Yep.
People will do a discovery call. We'll talk to people and they're like, I don't need the coaching. I just need you to tell me what to do.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Because the mindset is the coaching isn't going to help because I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to do it unless you just tell me what I need to do. If you just tell me what I'm going to need to do, then I'll just follow your instructions and I'll be good. But there's no self-development in that. There's no growth in that.
No. And you don't understand why you're doing what you're doing. So you're much less likely to keep doing it.
Yep.
You may get excited about it at the beginning and do it for a week or two because it's new and it's exciting and you've got this plan. And then 2 weeks later, you're going to be looking for the next plan.
Right. Okay. I think we've covered Fixed mindset.
Was that everything?
I think so. We could. I mean, we talked kind of about staying in your comfort zone.
Yeah, we did.
The same kind of thing. So
Yep.
just being able to push and
Oh,
be
failure.
uncomfortable.
We did say we wanted to add that.
Failure.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Focusing on failure.
Oh yeah.
And not the fact that failure is part of the journey and that everyone goes through failure to get to the end result, and thinking because I didn't do this perfectly this week,
Sure.
or I failed,
Well,
and what's the use?
This is the classic weekly check-in. You get on a call with a client, and it's this went bad, that went bad. I look like crap. I'm still not seeing progress here. All of the things that are going bad, but you look at their numbers, you look at their progress pictures, you look at their measurements, and you're like, "Are you crazy? You're fucking crushing it.
You're
like,
not
what are you
seeing what
talking
I'm
about? Like, what are you talking about? This looks amazing."
Yes, everything is a failure. Everything's a failure because all you see are your failures, and you're not seeing any of the progress.
Absolutely.
And then also there's the quitting. If you're a quitter, like, let's be real. If you've quit everything you've ever started and you didn't see it through to the end.
And that's honestly, guys, that's a common theme for people that yo-yo. They're not yo-yoing because the plans that they were on weren't working. They're yo-yoing because they quit their plans.
Yes.
And then they tried another one, and then they quit that one, and then they tried another one, then they quit that one. So there's a habit developed because they don't think that they can get better.
Yes.
So because they are trying to avoid discomfort. So when things get uncomfortable, they stop.
Yep.
So it's a repeating loop and a cycle that just keeps them stuck where they are. All right, that's fixed mindset. That's kind of depressing. Can we get into the fun stuff?
Yes.
Although I do have one more thing to add that I forgot about. Something that I say all the time, and I can't believe I even talked about this. Similar to the focusing on failures versus successes, I talk about fixed mindset when we talk about our health and fitness progress in focusing on restriction versus focusing on abundance and growth.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about calorie restriction, eat less, work more, cut all these things, like we focus on
all the foods you can't eat now.
Focus on all these things you can't eat. You get depressed because you miss this or you miss that. Like the focusing on all of the aspects of your life that you're changing instead of focusing what you're changing to.
Ooh. Oh, and you know what? Along with that, something you said, can't. The language that you use is a huge indicator. If
self-talk.
If it's I can't, or if you're always focusing on the can'ts, I can't have, I can't do.
Mm-hmm. I miss this, I miss that.
Oh, yes.
All you're doing, guys, when you talk to yourself, I mean, we have self-talk. Let's talk about it at the end. Because I feel like I want to just reiterate that self-talk is a way of affirming.
Yes.
It's an affirmation.
It's a huge way that you can shift from being a person with a fixed mindset to having a growth mindset. So we can talk about that as we talk about strategies.
As long as we don't forget.
To shift. Yeah. I know. That's the only thing about not having a live audience. Nobody can remind us, oh, you were going to talk about that.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's, I think we fairly well covered 30 minutes of what a fixed mindset is and how to know if it's something that you're dealing with or living in. Let's talk about living in a growth mindset and what that can look like for you, because it's so much better to live in a growth mindset.
Yeah.
So much better. Growth mindset, the definition of a growth mindset. People who have a growth mindset believe that even if they struggle with certain skills, their abilities are not set in stone.
Yes.
Okay, and we're talking emotional skills, emotional state, intellectual,
time management,
physical skills, all of the things.
Professional skills.
Anything.
Yep. Education, ability to learn, all those things.
So the difference there when we talk about the base core belief is everything is an opportunity.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's the key difference in the core mindset. So everything you do in life is based off of the idea that everything's an opportunity, not everything is an obstacle.
A friend of mine just recently mentioned she was rereading a book. I never read this book, but Marie Forleo, I think it was a Marie Forleo book. Everything is figure-outable.
Is that really a word?
I don't know, but she made it a word. And she made it a bestseller. So This, by the way, Marie Forleo, if you haven't heard of her, she was like in her early 20s and created like a multi-billion-dollar business.
Love
Like,
it.
talk about someone who, and at the time, like being a 20-something-year-old life coach wasn't a thing.
Right.
Nowadays, we've got plenty of them. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, can you remember back in the day when self-help books were considered fringe?
Therapy was faux pas.
Right. It's like if when I was in just out of high school, I don't even remember when I got started. Maybe in my early 20s when I started reading like Zig Ziglar and Les Brown. People looked at me like, "Who that? What are you reading that crap for? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, do you have problems?" Like, it was literally like you're reading a self-help book, so that means something's wrong with you.
Right.
It's like, no, I'm just trying to
Oh my gosh.
wrap my head around life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So and you know what? This is a really great way to identify too, like generationally, things have shifted, right?
Yep.
So if you're a member of Gen X or prior to Gen X, really, baby boomer generation, a fixed mindset was more of a thing.
Yeah.
It was a general kind of way of being. It's worrying about just the day-to-day aspects of life and not getting into the ethereal, not getting into the self-help.
Yep.
It was not okay to go to therapy. No, if you did go to therapy, nobody's going to know. This whole understanding who you are was a very hippie idea back then.
Yeah, because at the time, right, think about the 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? Maybe less the 60s. That's probably where things started.
But even 60s and 70s was in the hippie realm, it was cool, but still not in the yuppie realm.
Because everything was so structured and planned out for you. Like, you knew what the American dream was.
Everything was,
go to school, get a degree, get a job,
have old paradigm.
Have a family, and retire. Like, everyone knew what we were going to do. That's what you were going to do.
Yep.
And now the
whole concept was fixed.
Yeah, exactly. The whole concept was fixed. Oh boy. Oh my.
I just tickled his brains.
Wow. Yes. Well, okay. So total segue back to fixed concepts, fixed mindset. Yeah, we're talking about generational, societal belief systems that were based in a fixed mentality.
Absolutely.
Versus now with the internet and technology and everything is about
hierarchy is crumbling.
Decentralization and everything else now. It's all about, wait, anything is fucking possible.
Everything was so formal before. The formal education system.
Yep.
You have to learn this way. And if you don't fit, then good luck to you because you're not going to be successful because this is the model. This is the only model that you can rely on for success in life. Get a degree, get a good paying job, work for a company for your entire career, retire with a pension. Everything had health care, school systems.
It was all planned out for you.
Oh, yeah.
And then the whole
now we're trying
internet.
to disrupt everything in the world.
Right. It's all about disruption.
Yep.
I mean, if you look at technology, businesses that have been the most successful have been the most disruptive.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
It's very true. And the ones in their time were doing something innovative.
Absolutely.
Or they were doing the same thing but differently.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm about to geek out.
We could go off on that
I'm
for a
about
while.
to geek out too. Okay. So some of the things when we talk about growth mindset, it's the opposite. In case you haven't figured it out, it's the opposite of fixed mindset. So we are not in a fixed location. We are not in a box. We have the potential to grow, to move, to change, and expand. That's what growth mindset means.
Expansion. I love that word.
Okay. So some of the ways you can know if you are living in a growth mindset in any given area, because again, like Nat said, this isn't specific to everything in your life. It can be different areas of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you may be in a growth mindset in one area and a fixed mindset in another.
At work, here's a good example.
Yeah.
If you have an opportunity to work on a new project or work with a team or do something outside of your normal realm and you jump at the chance.
Yep.
Oh, this is an opportunity for me. I can set myself apart. I may be able to advance in my career by doing this. I've never done this before, but
I'm willing to try.
They're relying on me and they think that I'm going to be good at this. Or my boss is giving me this opportunity. I'm going to rise to the occasion. I have a client right now who's, been going through the ringer, learning all these new things at work and traveling. And
that's how you grow.
Man, it's exciting. It's like it's disrupted her life and her current lifestyle. And she could have turned it, she could have turned away from it. I remember many conversations we had about this interview she was going on and how she's one of the more junior people, and so she wasn't sure that they would select her for it. Then she got selected for it. Now she's going through this process, and it's been so cool to be alongside her as she engages in all of that. So if you're the kind of person who turns down promotional opportunities at work or special projects or anything that's out of the realm of, let's say, that's not in my job description, right? That's more fixed.
Or I don't know how to do that, so someone else needs to handle it.
Yes.
Instead of, I don't know how to do that. I'd love to learn, and let's see what we can get done. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely. And you can see how different that is in the workplace. The people who are succeeding are the people who are taking those chances and taking those risks and trying those things.
So that kind of goes into two things. One, you said willingness to disrupt the status quo, right? Within your life, within someone else's life. And we'll get into that in a second because there's another example that we can give there. But then also the ability to learn and accept challenges. Looking at challenges as challenges, not obstacles. Ooh. When you look at an obstacle by definition is something that is in your way and stopping you. Mm-hmm. A challenge is something that is making you get better in order to get through it.
Ooh, it's overcomable.
It's overcomable.
I don't think that's a
hope
word either.
within a challenge. Yeah, we're making up words in this podcast. So that's one aspect of being a growth mindset. The other one, like you said, is disrupting. And here's another example. I'm going out to eat. And I want to order some food. And I order some food and it comes back incorrectly. Do I disrupt the waiter and his process and what he's doing and maybe make him take extra time with me because I'm super special and say, hey, I ordered this without the bread or without the sauce or without the rice or whatever. Could you please take this back and bring it to me the way I ordered?
Yep. Or even having the boldness
to order it that way in the first place.
And the confidence to ask for what you need or ask what's in the food, or that's something that we train.
Most common one for us is, do you know how much meat is in an order?
Yes, asking how many ounces of meat, or what is it cooked in? Are you using oils?
Yep.
I'm allergic to vegetable oil or whatever. But and this kind of also goes back to that identity piece and the limiting beliefs. If I don't believe that I deserve my own wellness is valuable and that I don't deserve to be treated a certain way or to receive what I ask for, or that I don't deserve to ask for what I need, right? There's a deserving that goes in there. So there's a belief about yourself and your worthiness and your value as a person. If you were allergic to peanuts, like you would go into anaphylactic shock if anything was cooked in peanut oil or had a peanut in the facility, you damn well would ask questions about that. So why do we feel when it comes to carbs or gluten or sugar or vegetable oils that we somehow don't deserve to ask for what we need?
Something I just thought of.
Go ahead.
In the fixed mindset, we talked about the statement of, that's just how I am. Mm-hmm. That's an owner, that's an individual thing. When it comes to disrupting your own processes and your own habits, that makes sense. When we talk about disrupting other people's processes and other people's habits or other people's whatever it is they're doing, the limiting belief there, the fixed mindset belief, is that's just how they do it. So it's not a you thing, but your fixed mindset is saying they have a process. This is how they do it. It's on the menu. It's on the menu. So that's how I have to order it. Yep. I don't want to cause them any extra work.
But see, that's where
those are limiting beliefs. It
is something about you. Yeah. It is something about you.
Well, the statement. Yeah. The statement doesn't always have to be I'm a. It can be a, that is a, or there is a, or they have a, thing like that.
And there's something to dig in there, because why are you not willing to challenge the status quo? Why are you not willing to even ask?
Yep.
Because asking a question, there's no harm in that. All they can do is say is no. Yeah. But believing that you are worth it, that you are worthy of receiving. First of all, you're paying for it, right? So we could do a whole a whole episode just on dining out, because that is a service
Whew,
that they are
yeah.
giving you, and you deserve to be served well.
Right.
So a lot of that is people are projecting their own insecurities
and limiting beliefs,
right, about themselves and what they're worthy of. And this plays out also with family events, at parties, with friends. This
it's so
overly
hard.
concerned about what other people are going to think.
Yeah, it's so hard to disrupt the family party and say, I'm not going to eat that, or can
I don't
I
want to
bring
hurt
my own
someone's
thing?
feelings. So I'm going to make myself physically ill.
Right.
Because I have to eat this thing because grandma will be upset at me
Right.
if I don't.
Been there.
So.
I've seen people do it.
Woo,
literally.
There's a lot of that.
You can tell grandma no, guys.
Yeah.
You can tell grandma no. You can tell your mom no.
Woo! What?
All right. Other things that people who have a growth mindset do is they dream and they build visions for their future.
Oh, yes.
We talked at the beginning about if you are a fixed mindset, you don't feel like you have a future. You feel like you are stuck, and this is where you will be for the rest of your life. When you are a growth mindset, you are never satisfied with the status quo, with where you are. You are always looking for more.
One of my favorite...
growth is part of your life. So
one of my favorite inspirational speakers, Ed Milet, says he has a term called blissfully dissatisfied.
Yes, love that. I love that term.
It's this like, I'm happy in my life, but I'm always going to be a little dissatisfied. I'm always looking for expansion, growth, more, and more not in a bad way, not like just arbitrarily I need more material things or whatever, but it could be material things. Part of it is if you desire it, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Oh, there's a whole nother.
Woo! We go into that too. But no, I love the vision thing.
It's okay to want things. So, okay,
this is
a limiting belief. This is a limiting belief. Okay, a reason why people in fixed mindsets don't have dreams and visions is because they feel guilty for wanting more. It's okay to want more than you have, guys.
Yes,
whether it's financially, whether it's
life.
Emotionally, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's your body,
what you look like,
whatever it is, it's okay to want more. Yep. There's nothing wrong with wanting more.
I want to shout that from the rooftops. It is okay. It is okay. It's okay to want to change your body.
Absolutely.
We don't all have to be fat and happy. That's what the body positivity movement would have us all believe. Right. We can be fit and happy if that's what we want.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And, okay, so the vision thing. The vision thing is really, really key. One thing I work with clients on, or ask them to do early on, is to create their vision for where we're going.
Right.
And a lot of the time, the answers I get to the questions of, well, where are we going? What's this future version of you look like 6 months, in a year, in 5 years, 10 years from now? It is really difficult for them to connect with that future vision.
100%.
And what they instead will say is, well, I don't want this. I don't want this anymore. I don't want to feel like this. And I say, okay, all that is very valid. Let's start there, right? Sure. We start from where you are and what you don't like. Then we can build on that. And a really simple, here's a little takeaway you can take from this podcast. If you have a hard time connecting with the vision of where you're going, write down all the things you don't want anymore. That you're currently feeling, you're disliking about your current reality. And then start a fresh sheet of paper, cross all those out. And as you cross one out, write the opposite of it on the other page. Because it will force your brain to actually think about, well, what is the opposite of that? If I'm saying I don't want to feel aches and pains all over my body every day anymore, how do I what are the words, here we go again with the language.
The words, yeah.
What are the words that would describe what that would feel like?
Right.
A lot of the time, it's really difficult to put things in the affirmative when for so long we've been talking in the pessimism and the negative.
The negative, yeah. And that is the key. That exercise that Coach Nat just explained to you guys is the epitome of demonstrating to yourself the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. The transition, the actual transition of the words, focusing on the negative aspect of your life, and changing them to a positive aspect of what your future could look like.
Yes.
That is growth mindset. So the more you do that and the more you start talking in that language, the more you will start living and moving and acting in a growth mindset.
And as Bronson said, awareness is the first step.
Absolutely.
So first, just slow down and start to observe. I'm combining observe and absorb. Observe the thoughts in your head. A lot of the time we have no concept of what's swimming around in there all day. So if you can get quiet, a lot of us just are so used to just noise all the time. I know for me, I love to have a YouTube or a podcast going in the background while I'm doing other things.
All the time.
Or music, or, if you have kids and you have, or you work in a place that's noisy, it's just, there's not a lot of silence in your life. So either doing things individually, this is a huge piece, is stopping the multitasking whenever possible and trying to do one task at a time. You will be shocked at how much more you notice you're thinking about. And if you can start to identify those thoughts, you will start to identify the language of your self-talk. And that's where you can start this process of, wow, what are the things I say to myself all day long? And how does that need to change?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just to run off some of the remaining things we have on what examples of a growth mindset we have, because we've talked about them in the opposite on the fixed mindset. So I'll just run through them real quick. And that is, we talked about dreams and visions. People with the growth mindset have dreams and create visions. They embrace change. They don't avoid the process of change.
Yep.
So understanding that if you want your life to change, there are things in your actions that have to change to make that happen.
And after you have that initial excitement and motivation to start something new,
you stay
and
with
it starts getting difficult, a growth mindset person doesn't shrink back and quit,
right,
or change the goal. Maybe I don't really want that so bad.
Right, right.
They
something
press
easier.
on through the difficulty.
Yeah, avoid easy, embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck.
They're willing to experiment and try new things. And the opposite of the jealousy and being unhappy for people's success is they lift not just being happy for other people's success, but actively participate in rejoicing and helping other people celebrate their success.
Yes.
So it's not just about, okay, I'm not going to be mad for them, but I'm not going to do anything either. That's kind of shitty. But you know what? Hey, so-and-so did this thing. That's awesome. Did you guys hear this?
I love that.
And get into it with them.
And
help
we see
support
that in
them.
Our communities. It's so amazing when people are in there supporting each other, lifting each other up, helping each other, celebrating, clapping.
Right. There's I have 3 things that I think we don't need to get into all of them. We can talk a little bit more about the self-talk aspect, and then maybe some tips on how to make that transition of, if you're identifying with fixed, how do you get into growth?
Yes.
Just to summarize a couple of different things. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. You see obstacles instead of challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is summarizing. Positive versus negative self-talk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I guess it would be negative versus positive. We're going fixed to growth. Okay. And then restriction versus abundance.
Ooh.
Right. Those are I think those are 3 big areas that you can kind of put a lot of things into.
Yep.
About the difference between fixed mindset and growth mindset. Now, we talked about self-talk and the importance of self-talk as an affirmation. You love talking about affirmations. So can you explain why self-talk is important and what it does when we repeat or are constantly saying things, either positive or negative, to our actions and how we perceive things?
Oh my gosh. Words have power, y'all. Words really have power. The language that you use is a window into how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself. And that creates everything. That creates your behavior. That will end up showing up in your behaviors. So first and foremost, as I talked about before, it's becoming aware of what the thoughts are. A lot of the time, We have no concept of it. It's just, it's there. We don't even realize it. What's so cool as coaches when we see our client check-ins, and this is why I love written check-ins. I have written check-ins with my clients, and I have face-to-face Zoom meetings. But the written check-ins are powerful because as I'm reading the words that a client writes on the page, I can reflect back to them the words that they're using, that they may not even notice that they're using.
Yep,
Because
absolutely.
when I read a check-in, it jumps off the page at me. And then I like to point out to the client, notice how you said this. And
Right.
it might be a negative thing. And then I ask them to, how can we reframe that? Coaches love reframing. And we'll explain what that is in a moment because I think that could be a really powerful self-tool to use. And then I will also point out the really great things that I saw them write, the areas in which they are celebrating themselves. And so I like to reflect that back to them so they can see where personal examples of how they are helping themselves move forward with their words. So let's talk about the reframe. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on to the reframe thought because something popped in my mind as you were talking, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of. I was googling this while she was talking. The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
The what?
Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. So I'm just giving you an example. You ever decide you want to buy a car?
Yeah.
And you say, hey, I'm really interested in buying a Porsche. And so you start thinking about Porsches. And then over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you see Porsches everywhere you go.
I always heard that as the reticular activation system.
Possibly. There's actually it's a phenomenon, or it's also called frequency bias.
Okay.
Is another word for it. And it's basically your mind is wired to that thing. So now, even though the number of actual Porsches have not changed that are out there in the world,
right,
your mind is now attuned to that.
Yes.
So you start seeing it more often.
Yep.
Okay. Self-talk does the same thing for your psyche.
Oh, that's so powerful.
If you are negative in your self-talk, you will only see and hear negative back.
That's what will be reflected back to you. And so this is the concept of...
It's like a magnifying glass. You're magnifying what you're focusing on.
This is the concept of law of attraction. If you've heard of the law of attraction or The Secret, which really made the law of attraction popular, but it was a thing for a lot longer than way before that movie and that book ever came out. But it's the concept of like attracts like. So the way you think, think it so it will be.
Yep.
All of the greats.
If you can think it, you can achieve it.
Over all of the great speakers and a lot of the great writers and so many books have been written on this. But it's exactly that. It's this. It gets a bad rap. This whole think positive, and it's not trying to fool yourself into believing something you don't believe right now. And when I do affirmation work with clients, we get deep because it needs to come from you and it needs to be personal to you and it needs to be something that is not just spoon-fed to you that you're reading back and you don't believe. Because your brain will be like, bullshit. Like, I love myself. Like just the old stuff we used to hear, like, the mirror work, looking in the mirror and saying about all the things you love about yourself when you don't really love them.
Yeah.
That's BS. That's not real. That's not what we're talking about.
And that's where the way that you have, what the words you use in your affirmations matter.
Yes.
Because you want to speak truths.
Yes.
And be authentic in what you're saying.
It has to be authentic. Exactly.
Yeah. So you're not saying, if you don't believe it, don't say it.
That's right. That's right. And so really it's not just getting an affirmation book and just reciting things.
Right.
Affirmation books, affirmation cards. I have an affirmation app that I love, the I Am app. They're great, but they're not all going to resonate with you. You pick the ones that do resonate with you, and you can meditate and reflect on those.
Or you could get a few of them, look at a couple different pages, or go through the whole book and write down the ones and make your own combination of the affirmations that you think are going to help you move forward.
I save the ones on the app that resonate with me. You can favorite them in the app, or you can just save them directly to your phone. And those are the ones that I tend to share on my social media. The one this morning, when I came running in here with this topic, I was like, oh my goodness. As soon as I finished my journal entry, this popped up on my app. I can listen to others' advice, but I am the only one who can tell me how to grow. It was right on time. It's like, ultimately, it's about conditioning your mind, conditioning yourself to being open to receiving the messages that are around you.
Bingo.
No matter what those messages are.
Yep.
Sometimes they're going to be affirming you. Sometimes they're going to be validating you and making you feel great.
Challenging you.
Other times they're going to challenge you. They're going to cause that discomfort, that pause, that trigger.
That goes right into the last note.
Okay,
the
go
note
for
you
it.
said. Well, you had a note when we were talking. Your triggers are what?
Opportunities.
Opportunities.
So I like to look at, this was something that actually just came out of my reflection today that is now going to be a mantra for me. My triggers are windows of opportunity for growth. Every time I lean into it, I can open that window and I can go through it to the next level. Every time I let my resistance win and I avoid dealing with that or seeking to overcome it, or hiding from it or avoiding it, I'm closing that window of opportunity. And guess what? That situation is likely to come up in my life again. So if you're one of those people who's like, why is this thing always happening to me? There's something there for you to see. That is happening over and over again to give you an opportunity to grow.
Yep.
The people in our lives are mirrors. The situations and the circumstances of our lives are telling us something. So if there's something you don't like about your life, ask yourself, what is there about me that I could change that could change the circumstances of my life?
Oh, that's totally something we didn't talk about with fixed versus growth.
What?
Fixed mindset looks to change others.
Oh.
Growth mindset looks to change yourself.
Yes. If it's always somebody else's fault.
Oh my God, how did we miss that?
Oh my God, that's huge. That's huge. It's somebody else's fault. There's always a blame. There's always an excuse.
Yeah, there's no responsibility because you can't change, so how could it possibly be you?
Right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mind blown.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
And here's the thing. At the end of the day, you can't do anything to change anyone else.
Ding!
Or anything in your life externally.
Right.
If you change you would be amazed at how the externals of your life just magically change before your eyes.
It is absolutely amazing how many people we work with who, when they start making the hard decisions to work on the internal stuff and change the way that they perceive the world. Okay, guys, think about this logical statement here. If you change the way you perceive the world will look differently to you.
Okay, I hate you because that was in my head. We live in each other's heads. I was about to say that kitschy quote, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you want to change the world, change the way that you're interacting with it, change the way you're thinking about it, change the things that you do in response to things that happen in the world. It's not the world's fault. The world is.
Yep.
You have to live in the world. The world doesn't have to live for you. So you have to figure out how to make it work.
Wow. Okay. One more note of vulnerability to show you that we are not sitting on our mountaintop preaching to you. And that this is why we're so passionate about these things. What made me pause and really created this opportunity for us to talk about this was when I asked Bronson, okay, in the future, so that I don't make us late, you need to tell me a different time that we're going to leave. You need to tell me 15 minutes or 30 minutes before you want to leave instead of telling me what time you want to leave.
Yeah.
Because my mind doesn't work that way and I'm just going to end up making us late. And because he was safe to be vulnerable with me, he shared how that made him feel. That now this is my responsibility, that you're putting this responsibility on me, that this feels like pressure on my shoulders, that I now need to change the way that I express time or being somewhere because of something that is really not his issue, right? It wasn't his issue. It was my issue. And I was asking him to change the way he lives his life so that I could fight for my own limitation.
That's it.
That is what it looks
fighting
like.
for your own limitation. That's it right there. Yeah.
That's what I said when I was like, oh my God, I'm fighting for my own limitation. I always say, don't fight for your limitations.
Yep.
That, people, is what it looks like to fight for your limitations. You need to change so that I can stay the way I am when really the problem is with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. Sometimes the problem is going to be the other person's, but you can't do anything about that other than doing what he did in that moment, which was expressing his own feelings. Because had he just pointed the finger back at me, it could have become an argument that would have persisted.
Right.
Instead, he shared how that made him feel. And that opened my eyes up to see, oh, wow, this is not his problem. This is...
And that is because even though the one issue for you was a fixed mindset symptom or expression, in general, you are a growth mindset person. So you were able to take that feedback and actually sit with it and think about it and kind of analyze and figure out where that was coming from. So it's cool. So in that one specific area, you had that fixed mindset tendency.
It was a blind spot.
A blind spot. But because in general, you're a growth mindset person, then you were able to take that feedback. If you had been a fixed mindset person, even me expressing my emotions, your initial response would have been like, what am I supposed to do about that?
Right. Oh my gosh. You're right.
Like,
you're right.
Okay, this is what we need to do. Like, sorry, you would have fought harder for that limitation.
Yes. The resistance would have just gotten stronger and stronger.
Right.
So that's a really good point. And y'all, this just brings home why it's so valuable to do this work. Because if you notice that you are fixed in your mindset when it comes to most things, that is something that is a major, major hurdle that's holding you back in many, many areas of your life that you may not even notice.
If you want your life to be filled with less conflict, then you need to do this work.
Wow. Yes.
90%, if not all, conflict. I hesitate to even put a percentage on it because in most cases, people have conflict in their lives because they are acting out a limiting belief or a symptom or expression of fixed mindset that is not the way life actually works. It's not reality.
Gosh. So we talk about this a lot, that we are now in a culture of everyone needs to walk on eggshells so that they don't trigger me. Are we
really going to go here? Are we really going to go down this road?
It's so apropos to what we're talking about here. But
own your shit, people. It's not my responsibility to make you safe and feel good about everything.
I am sorry, but it is not an unalienable right to not be offended.
There it is. That's a better way to say it.
We are human beings. We are fallible, right? We will be triggered. We will be offended. We will have emotions come up. It is part of the human experience. The key to a powerful life is reducing the amount of time that you are taken off track by an emotional response.
Yeah, I like that.
So taking this, if it throws you off for a week right now, can you get it down to where it throws you off for a day? If it throws you off for a day right now, can you get it down to where it throws you off for an hour? And this is I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins and a lot of the self-help folks. And he's a big proponent on this, is cutting that time down. That is what makes you powerful as a person. If you can recover in 30 seconds, you are a boss. And this is what the most successful people have been capable of doing in their lives.
What is that? What is that 5-minute rule that we were talking about? Like, you allow yourself 5 minutes to be pissed off about something,
Yeah,
and then you
and then you
set
gotta
and
move
literally
on.
set a clock, like set a watch, set a timer.
Yep.
I'll let myself be mad for 5 minutes, and just the action of setting a clock and doing that, you're going to realize how idiotic that is.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and I'm not going to go too deep into this, but it's something I've done with a couple of clients recently, and it is the self-parenting technique. When you feel bubbling over with anger, frustration, irritability, anxiety, whatever the heightened emotion, it is the ability to be with yourself as if you were holding a child, an upset, screaming, crying, or injured child, scared child. There is something in you that just wants your attention, no matter what the emotion, even if it's like intense anger. If you promise to sit with it the way you would promise a child, it's okay. This is the mantra I gave my clients this week. Mommy's here. Mommy's here. It's this feeling of I am safe, I am held, I can be here as long as I need to be here, that I am not alone. And it's just you being with yourself, but it's you reassuring yourself that I'm not going anywhere. I'm not shutting you away in a closet to cry and scream because I don't have the time for you. Even though, this is what I said to my clients, even though in your head you know you only have 5 minutes and then you got to move on, you would never let that child know that. You would hold them with all the love in the world, and then they would calm down in like 30 seconds, 60 seconds flat. It's just the knowing that you're not going anywhere and you're held in a safe space. So that's all your emotions want, is just a moment of your time. So if you're pushing your emotions to the back because you don't have time for it, and this is not the time, and I have to not do that here, by all means, don't hug and rock in the middle of a business meeting. But, as soon as you can, sit down with yourself and just be with yourself for a minute or two. And I love the Breathe app on the Apple Watch.
Yep.
But if whatever phone you have, whatever apps you have access to, it gives a nice little pulse and you can breathe with it. So it helps to time your breathing so that you can calm your nervous system down.
Yeah.
So for all my people with anxiety, overwhelm, stress, anger, this is a huge, powerful technique. Just taking a few deep breaths and slow exhales and just saying to yourself, I am here, it's going to be okay.
And being there for yourself and being aware and taking the time to do this. And when we say do this inner work, it's really not a complicated process. It's just taking the time to spend time with yourself and listen to what you're saying and figure out why you're saying it. So
yeah,
if you don't take that time, if you're always busy, you never let your mind settle, you never let the external stimulus go away for a little bit, then you're never going to give yourself that opportunity. So It's definitely something very important to do. Before we drop off, you talked about your writing down the things you don't want, turning it into something positive, the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
What are some one or two other things that people can practically look at doing to change from a fixed to a growth mindset? I have one.
Go for it.
Change your circle of influence.
That is not a small one.
Okay? The people that you hang around, the people that you associate to, and the people that you entrust your future with, because that's what you're doing. You're entrusting your future to the people that you spend time with. Okay? I think what the saying is, the sum of your, you know where I'm going with this.
Yes. You are the
sum of the five people that you associate with, spend the most time with. Yeah. So if you're spending time with people who you're commiserating with, and who you get together and you
complain about everything or gossip.
It's not even that they complain back to you, but if they just let you complain all the time, and they don't confront your attitude,
yes,
then that is not helping you become a better person.
And there's the statement of, the small minds talk about people.
The average minds, is it the average minds? The average minds will talk about things, and the great minds talk about concepts.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be in the room where you're the smartest person in the room.
Nope.
Always put yourself around people who are where you're trying to go.
Right.
And don't take advice from anybody who's not in a position where you want to be.
That's a whole nother thing. What's the saying? The people in the stands aren't on the field.
There's so many great sayings for all of
If
this.
they're not playing the game, then why are you listening to them?
Yes. Oh my gosh. In the keto carnivore community, the number of people I hear saying, well, this influencer said this. And I will say to them, well, I don't want to look like that influencer.
I don't want to. It's not even just looks, but just in general.
I use that because these are women who are concerned with body composition.
Right.
And I'm like, well, then maybe that's not who you need to be listening to.
Well, again, there's the context of the goal. If you're working with a lot of women who are trying to get lean and toned and built and strong and potentially get on stage or do a photo shoot or look great in a bikini, right, or whatever that may be, if that's their goal and they're listening to people who are skinny fat or overweight or whatever else, like those people have a story and they have had success in what they're trying to do.
Absolutely. Not
but
taking
it's not
anything away from
applicable to the context of what that person's trying to do.
Exactly. So look at your context, look at where you want to go, and place yourself in rooms with people who are farther along than you.
Yep. Absolutely.
That is key. There was another one I just thought of.
Well,
and I think I lost it, so go ahead.
I want to add to that. It's not just surround yourself with people who are where you want to be. And we're not talking about necessarily your health journey, money, job, career. Those are all good things, and they do apply in those areas. But what we're saying is we just listed a bunch of things about what growth mindset people do and how they think. Find people that think that way. That's what we're talking about. If you want to change from being fixed mindset to being growth mindset, then find people who are willing to and frequently embrace change, who get out of their comfort zone, who lift other people up, who are constantly learning, and all of those things. Those are the people that you want to associate with if you want to change your life forever.
That is the perfect segue to the tip I was going to leave, which is feeding your mind is just as important as feeding your body well. So your inputs will become your outputs. So
garbage in, garbage out.
Pay attention to what you're putting in your mind every day. What are you watching? What are you listening to? I don't watch the news. I don't read about all of the media mayhem about any of these. I haven't read about the health scares or environmental scares, and I don't listen to the fear mongering. I don't put that in my world. That is not a thing that's in my existence.
And I'll vouch for that, guys. Literally, anytime I put something on that has anything to do with current events or news or politics or any of that stuff, there are times she'll just get up and walk out of the room. Like she has no desire to hear any of that stuff. I don't engage.
That's right. Yeah. If he brings up politics, I don't engage. So you don't have to engage with things, even when people are bringing it to you.
Yep.
You train people how to treat you. So that could be a whole different topic. But what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, what you're putting in your environment really matters. So this is why I listen to so many YouTubes and podcasts. I listen to positive things. I listen to motivational things in the morning. I listen to affirmation meditations. I like to put on meditation music, even without any words or without any content, just because it puts me in a good state. Listen to your favorite music.
5-Finger Death Punch.
Our gym playlists may be slightly different.
a little Disturbed or Marilyn Manson here and there.
Some of them are similar on the hip hop side of things. Although I go a little harder on the hip hop on the
You do go harder on the hip hop, yeah.
But yeah, no, putting things into your sphere of existence, your sphere of control, which is a whole other topic we could
we could talk about control, and that's a whole nother, yeah.
But yeah, be mindful of what you are consuming beyond just food and drink.
Absolutely. Well, it's so funny. Like there's the mental aspect has a nutrition and fitness perspective too, right? Are you feeding your mind with things that are nutritious for your
Right.
mind? And then are you exercising your mind in a way that's going to build
Ah,
habits and help you grow intellectually, emotionally, and as a person?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
all right. So this was about fitness and nutrition.
Yeah, it was.
All right, guys. Hope that was helpful. Hope you got some things out of that you could use. As always, we love to hear back from you. And
Yes.
if you have recommendations or questions or topics or something you want to hear us talk about, please let us know. Eventually, maybe we might run out of topics if you guys don't give us some feedback. So, yeah, I doubt it.
Doubt
I
that.
doubt it. But it's always good to make sure that we're talking about things that you guys actually want to hear about. So please give us some feedback. And
We are accessible on
yeah,
Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. So you can engage with our content. You can drop a comment. You can DM us. We are available. We are human beings. Um, we read all of our own messages.
we do read all of. We don't have staff yet. So, all right. Thanks a lot, guys. We will see you next time. And don't forget to
Subscribe.
eat, lift,
Oh,
repeat.
well, they should also subscribe.
They should subscribe.
Subscribe
Follow this
first,
podcast and then
and
eat, lift, and
then
repeat.
eat, lift, and repeat.
See you guys.
Peace out.